Vallabha Givanakari. Shodanandana Prajananjana Yamunatira Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Vijayavallabha Girivaradhari Gopijanavalabha Girivaradhari Gopijanavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijanavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Vanakira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, Text number 13. Evam Trivrit Ahankarah Bhuta Indriya Manaman Mayahi Swa Abhasahi Lakshitaha Anena Sat Abhasena Satyadrik Evam Trivridahankaro Bhutendriya Manomayai Swabhasar Lakshito Nena Sadabhasena Satyadrik Evam Trivridahankaro Bhutendriya Manomayai Swabhasar Lakshito Nena Sadabhasena Satyadrik Evam Trivridahankaro Bhutendriya Manomayai Swabhasar Lakshito Nena Sadabhasena Satyadrik
One second. Okay. Gurudev is in on. Evam Trividahankaro Bhutendriya Manomayi Subhasaya Lakshito Nena Sudabhasena Satyadrik Evam Trividahankaro
Ahankaro
Bhutendriya Manomai
Bhutendriya Manomayai
Swabhashe Lakshito Nena
Swabhasar Lakshito Nena
Sad Abharsena Satyadrik
Sadabhasena Satyadrik
एवं त्रिविधहङ्कारो
Evam Trividahankaro
भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयेः
Bhutendriya Manomayi
स्वभासेर्लक्षितोऽनेन
Subhasaya Lakshito Nena
सदाभासेन सत्यदृक्
Sadabhasena Satyadrik
Hare Krishna. Evam trivrit ahankaro
Evam Trividahankaro
bhutendriya manomayi
Bhutendriya Manomayi
swabhasair lakshito nena
Subhasaya Lakshito Nena
tat abhasena satyadrik
Sadabhasena Satyadrik. Mataji.
Thus, Trivrit, the threefold, Ahankaraha, false ego, Bhuta Indriya Manamayai, consisting of body, senses, and mind. Swa-abhasai, by its own reflections. Lakshitaha is revealed. Anena, by this. Sat-abhasena, by a reflection of Brahman. Satyadrik, the self-realized soul. Translation. The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold ego, and then in the body, senses, and mind. Purport. The conditioned soul thinks, I am this body. But a liberated soul thinks, I am not this body. I am spirit soul. This I am is called ego, or identification of the self. I am this body, or everything in relationship to the body is mine is called false ego. But when one is self-realized and thinks that he is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, that identification is real ego. One conception is in the darkness of the threefold qualities of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the other is in the pure state of goodness, called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva. When we say that we give up our ego, this means that we give up our false ego, but real ego is always present. When one is reflected through the material contamination of the body and mind and false identification, he is in the conditional state. But when he is reflected in the pure stage, he is called liberated. The identification of oneself with one's material possessions in the conditional stage must be purified, and one must identify himself in relationship with the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, one accepts everything as an object of sense gratification, and in the liberated state, one accepts everything for the service of the Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness, devotional service, is the actual liberated stage of a living entity. Otherwise, both accepting and rejecting on the material platform, or in voidness or impersonalism, are imperfect conditions for the pure soul. By understanding of the pure soul, called Satyadrik, one can see everything as a reflection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A concrete example can be given in this connection. A conditioned soul sees a very beautiful rose, and he thinks that the nice aromatic flower should be used for his own sense gratification. This is one kind of vision. A liberated soul, however, sees the same flower as a reflection of the Supreme Lord. He thinks, this beautiful flower is made possible by the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it belongs to the Supreme Lord and should be utilized in his service. These are two kinds of vision. The conditioned soul sees the flower for his own enjoyment, and the devotee sees the flower as an object to be used in the service of the Lord. In the same way, one can see the reflection of the Supreme Lord in one's own senses, mind, and body, in everything. With that correct vision, one can engage everything in the service of the Lord. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that one who has engaged everything, his vital energy, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words, in the service of the Lord, or one who desires to engage all of these in the service of the Lord, no matter how he is situated, is to be considered a liberated soul or satyadrik. Such a man has understood things as they are. The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold ego and then in the body, senses, and mind. Evam trivrid ahankaro bhutendriya manomayahi swabhasar lakshito nena sad abhasena satyadrik. So these past verses have been speaking about the liberated soul and the conditioned souls. And the liberated souls are realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Kapil Deva is encouraging us to reach that transcendental platform free from the conditioning in this material world. We were given the directive in text 9 that one's seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter, and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and thus become attracted by bodily relationships. So we're being encouraged here how to live a way in which we can attain this platform of self-realization. And then Kapila Deva is actually describing how the conditioning actually works. Or rather, how the liberated soul actually becomes conditioned. So the idea is that first, the realized soul is thus reflected in the false ego, which is called the threefold ego. Now, Prabhupada in the purport, he describes this trivrit. So the threefold ahankara, false ego, bhuta indriya mana mayai, consisting of body, senses, and mind. That's the next stage. So the first part, Prabhupada says, I am this body. So the conditioned soul is actually called Satyadrik. The jiva is called Satyadrik. He's actually liberated. He's actually eternal. He's Satchit Ananda. He's a part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says, Mamai Vangsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. He's Sanatana. He's part of Krishna. He's an Angsha of Krishna. So Krishna is the supreme transcendental personality, Satchidananda Vigraha, Ishvara Parama Krishna. How can his parts and parcels be conditioned? Well, that was discussed a little earlier, that he gets what's called a polluted consciousness. Chitam prasaktam asatam. This is from text number 5. Chitam prasaktam asatam means with mind consciousness. Chitam prasaktam, attached. With my chittam, we know this cheta. Chaitya Guru is the Lord in the heart, Supreme Lord in the heart who is guiding us. Chittam, this chit, this means consciousness or mind. Actually, the mind is actually within the heart, according to the Vedic conception. This chittam, our consciousness, is seated within the heart. And if my heart is contaminated, I have a dirty consciousness. Chittam prasaktam asatam. It's attached to the material enjoyments. Asatam, of the asat. Then, right? This is called polluted consciousness. Now, how does that happen? Well, we hear many bhajans from the acharyas and they say, Bhuliya tomare, forgetting you, Krishna, forgetting you, I've come here to this material world. And also there's an amazing verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita which states that we actually turned our face, bahir mukha, we turned our face away from Krishna. And what happens? Japatira dare, boom, we're slapped down. We're slapped down. Yeah, she doesn't have to try very hard. You know, it's just, we just go flying like anything. Because she's very strong, Durga. She's super strong. And it's stated that we know, it's stated, Krishna says in the Gita that this material energy, how does it go? Daivi Hyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. It's super strong it's super hard to pass it. Duratyaya. This divine energy of mind, this potency of mind, Krishna, it's Krishna's potency, so it's got to be strong. But how can the potency be stronger than the potent? Not possible. Not possible. So the finger has a lot of potency depending on the dexterity and the qualities of the user. The intelligence and the mind and the body has power according to the potency of the user. It's one of the potencies. There's some person and they have dexterity in their fingertips. Have you ever noticed that? You have to thread a needle and somebody is really good at it. Another person is not very good at it. It's not easy to do that operation. Right? Then that other devotee, he may have some better skills. If you throw something towards his direction, automatically he can catch it. And somebody else may just, just start freaking out. So all these are potencies. But who controls them? Who controls them? The user, right? The jiva, he controls the fingers. He controls the senses. Of course, he's not the supreme controller. He's this paripakriti. He is called Purusha only philosophically. But if you go deeper into the word Purusha, there's only one Purusha, and that's Adi Purusha, Govinda, right? And he's the master of the senses. He's Rishikesh. So he's the controller of the senses ultimately. And we don't have any potency without his empowerment. The point I was trying to make is Krishna can never be weaker than his Maya. So what does that say for us? Krishna tells us so many times in the Gita. He tells us so many times, have faith. Doesn't say verbatim like that. But more or less he's saying, don't worry. Don't fear. Don't hesitate. It's going to work. 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 He says it so many times, right? All over the place. He's talking about how the process of bhakti yoga is going to work. Now, in this text 5, it's very amazing. The Kapila Devi says, it is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in the very serious devotional service, with detachment. Thus his mind and consciousness will be under full control. It's Krishna's strength. It's Mam prapadyate. If we surrender to Krishna, then the master of the game, the master who's even above the warden of the prison, Durga, he says, okay, he can escape. So in this verse, we see the essential first problem and the solution to the problem of philosophically, we know the process is engaging devotional service. That's what transforms my false ego into real ego. I can't just do it even though I know it. It's like I can hear, but it's important for us to know what is the difference between material consciousness and Krishna consciousness, or satyadrik, being liberated, personality. What is it? The liberated soul thinks, I am the servant of the servant of the servant. I'm one of Krishna's eternal servants. I'm in this wayward material world, enjoying my senses, like an animal. And by the mercy of my spiritual master, I've been given this Atma Tattva Gyan. I've been given this knowledge about Krishna consciousness. And now I have the opportunity to actually serve the spiritual master's lotus feet, as well as the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and Radha and Krishna. You know, that's called Bhuta Shuddhi. In deity worship and in other practices, this Bhuta Shuddhi has been advised by the Goswamis. Bhuta Shuddhi is part of the process that you do when you're going to do your puja. Now, you do different types of Shuddhis. You may have seen me engaging in some of them. It may not be completely correct, but when we did it there, we learned the puja part, which is when we do the bathing and everything. But there's different Shuddhis. Shuddhi means purity. So, there's 4 things that have to be pure. The flowers, that means pushpa shuddhi. Then the dravya, which means the articles, dravya shuddhi, right? Then there's bhutta shuddhi. And then there's also what's called murti shuddhi or morta shuddhi. That means the deity has to be clean. You may go to some temples or somebody's home and you see there's powders all over. It's messy place. We didn't clean the flowers nicely out. You know, there's some residues. You ever seen some things like this? Maybe some home you went to, they're doing some demigod pujas and things. The deity is not treated like a person. Murti is the person. Prabhupada has a purport in the Bhagavatam where he states, even the murti of a demigod is the demigod. Even a demigod is given that potency, that his murti, the murti of Ganesha, the murti of, Shiva, the Shiva Lingam, these things are them. What to speak of Adi Purusham? He cannot be present in his murti. He's fully present in his form. So that's what it's called, Murta Shuddhi. Jai. So the idea is that we have to clean the deity. That's the first step before you do the puja, is you actually clean the deity, then you worship. I mean, that's the last step before you actually do the worship, is you clean the Lord from all the other offerings. You gave sandalwood paste with tulasi to his feet, and you gave him a garland, and some of them fell off, right? And you gave him chandan on the forehead, and you put flowers around his feet to decorate. So all those things, they have to go clean, nice and clean. And then you also even do a polish. So he shines, pure. So this is called Murti Shuddhi, right? But Bhuta Shuddhi is even before that. Bhuta Shuddhi means I purify myself, my very being. Because right now I'm thinking, I'm the doer, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm this, I'm that. And what? I'm not. So what is it? Bhuta Shuddhi we've been given by Prabhupada, and in our ISKCON, we've been given 2 Bhuta Shuddhis. One is super amazing and famous verse, Naham Vipro, like that. You know it all? So this is this verse which says, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not a Vanaprastha, I'm not a Grihastha, I'm not a Brahmachari, right? I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis, who is actually the cause of transcendental, universal bliss. He's the source of bliss. He's Rama. So That's who I am. So one thing that's amazing is that just by remembering that, those shlokas, which are Atma Tattva Gyan, which are your real identity, right? This is like the original affirmation. You see? This is the original affirmation. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was way ahead of the curve. You know, people are making silly affirmations. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. Okay, very good.
Can I make a comment?
But if it's good. But what am I really? I'm the servant of the servant of the servant. That's who I really am. So when we actually tell people, when we actually tell ourselves and remind ourselves of that, then we can intellectually move through our decisions with the right understanding. If I'm about to worship the Lord and I'm thinking I'm the greatest pujari in the world, or I'm a man, or I'm a woman, then I'm going to enter into the puja with that consciousness, and it's going to affect my service. But if I remember, no, I'm just a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, right? Then it's pure. Or there's a chance for me to check myself, to check myself. Maharsh wants to say something now? Great.
Okay, that verse.
Yes.
That verse that you mentioned, it's from the Padyavali 63, and it goes like this: Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaishona shudro.
1 second.
Aham Barney.
You didn't hear you, Maharaj.
We can do it? Okay. It's from Padyavali 63, and it goes like this: Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaishona shudro. Naham Barney nacha gripatir no vanasto yatirva. Kintu Projanakila Paramananda Purnamritabdir Gopi Bhartur Parakamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudasaha. And it means, I'm not a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. I am not a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi. What am I? I am the eternal servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna. And that's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 13, text 80. Thank you.
You mentioned that
You gotta kind of hold it at the top. Don't cover hold it at the top side.
so you mentioned
You can get that one.
I can.
No, it has to go in the mic.
Yeah, I think this is more clear now. So you mentioned a few minutes ago that when we are bound by Maya, and Maya is a chapati adhari, so when we take shelter of Krishna, but it seems like when we take shelter of Krishna, the senses becomes more aggravated, and Krishna. So the question is, so we were expecting, like you said, when we take shelter of Krishna, we get relieved from the clutches of Maya, but the experience is contrary.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. There is an example Prabhupada did state that as soon as somebody declares war against Maya, then it gets pretty serious. So there is that. But devotional service is so strong that even no matter how hard the fight feels, there's no question of loss. So it's mental game she's playing on us. She's actually testing our patience and our resolve to stick to the process. And where is she going to get us? She's going to get us at our faith. She's going to say, hey, it's not working. You're even more attracted, aren't you? Don't you feel it? Don't you feel it? That you're more attracted to sense gratification? Isn't it burning even more than before? See, this devotional service is not going to work. You should stop now. Don't you hear that voice sometimes? And what is she doing? She's smiling. She's smiling. One devotee, her name is Malati Devi Dasi. She's a very wonderful Prabhupada disciple. And she told us, she said, discouragement is the smiling face of Maya. Whatever you do, do not become discouraged in your bhakti. And what is the basis of our bhakti is our japa, right? And our japa is founded on Sankhya Purvaka. Strength means we make a goal, or at a certain point, it becomes a vow, right? And the idea is we work on it and we make it our top priority and we do it. So this is the foundation. This is the foundation. Then all of our services expand from that commitment to the relationship with the holy name. So if we become discouraged, then what is there? Then the sense gratification, we say, oh, well, I might as well, because I'm not going to beat Maya anyway, right? She's too strong. I'm too contaminated. So I better just fold now. Might as well get it over with. I'll save myself the embarrassment, you know? I'll just avoid the association of the devotees, and I'll just kind of slip away, and, you know, nobody has to know that I'm, you know, like that. You know, there's all these psychological warfare. She's attacking us. As soon as we feel these types of emotions and thought processes, we should say, Krishna! Because she's attacking hard. This is worse than, this is the real deal. This isn't just, oh, there's a nice thing I could go touch or see or eat. No, she's attacking us in a very deep way. Very, very deep. She's attacking our foundation of faith, you know? And if as soon as we lose that, then there's no question of saying no to sense gratification. You know? There's no question of saying yes to Krishna Bhakti, to actual practical devotional service. She got us tricked again. She duped us again. So you're right. The odds are not strong in terms of, you know, Manushanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Serai. You know, there's not many that go all the way to pure bhakti. But bhakti is so strong, and the mercy of this Guru Parampara, and especially His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is so strong that if we just take shelter of His instructions, then we can pass over all the obstacles. Yes.
So I have a follow-on question on that. So now that we recognize that taking shelter is the goal, and things will fall in place one day. But how long? How long can one keep going? So how long, how will one keep up the determination to go on for long? Even this lifetime seems very small for this goal.
So this is a great question. This is a great question. First, you have to decide, I'm going to stick with it no matter what. So how do you get that? You know, even if I'm completely rejected by everyone, I'm going to stick to my chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You know, I'm going to stick to my japa. I'm going to stick to following the principles. You know, even if it's all the odds are stacked against me. So this is a type of a determination. So this one says, hey, wait, is it still there? No, is it from before? Yeah, so let's hear Maharaj talk about it. We're not ready yet, Maharaj. He'll let you know.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay.
Yes, Guruji.
So I asked the questioner, the question who put forward the question, how long? And how it's so difficult, how long? But it's not so difficult. For example, how long can we keep chanting 16 rounds a day? Well, we should be able to do that. We have 24 hours in a day, and it takes about 2 hours or something like that to chant that many rounds. And if we stay in the association of devotees, it's easy to do that. It's easy to chant with them in the morning. You can chant anytime, but Prabhupada especially set up the temple program so that we have time, a good block of time to chant there. So that's the first thing. And I mean, then there's the 4 regulative principles. Even if we're having difficulty, if someone's having difficulty following the regulative principles, if he goes on chanting 16 rounds a day, he'll gradually be able to overcome whatever deficits are there. And that's really all we make vows for at the time of initiation. We don't say we're going to be at Mangalarti every morning before 4:30. That's nice. We should do these things. They're beneficial. All the things like chanting shlokas and learning verses, reading books, it's all very valuable. But at least we do the other things, the 4 principles and the 16 rounds. At least we were trying really hard to do that. And we can pray to Krishna. We can pray to Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. We can pray to all the acharyas. We have so many acharyas that we can pray to and beg for their mercy. And there's so many devotees that are doing it. They're doing it every day, this process, and they've been doing it for a long time. So why would they want to stop? Let's say someone's having difficulty getting the resolve, the strength to go on chanting 16 rounds a day and following the 4 principles. So what does he gain by stopping? He doesn't gain anything. But if he keeps trying, he gains. And Krishna helps. And all the demigods help, and the devotees help. My God, but even a junior devotee can help me. It's not that I have to go, if I have to chant round, I have to have a Bhagavad there with me. It doesn't have to be Mahabhagavata. But if you have someone with you, that's nice. It adds more strength because I'm there with someone else. If I start to feel weak, they can kind of raise their voice a little and go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then I wake up and I go back to my dedication. So every day we do this, we make progress. Practice makes perfect. So we shouldn't become discouraged. We should just keep trying. Because that's really all we need to do. That's why Prabhupada often said, if you chant these 16 rounds and 4 principles, then you're guaranteed to go back to Godhead. Sometimes he even said that. Just do that. That's how powerful it is. Thank you.
Jai. Hare Krishna.